Thank you. And the next one is plan change 52, Ruapuna, and David East has a conflict of interest and won't participate in this this item. Would you like to move that again, Phil? Yep, and seconded by
Yep.
Jamie. Is there any discussion? Jimmy?
Okay.
I thought we were going to
Questions?
take this in simple language, just what it actually means.
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
It's just been moved.
for somebody reading this, it's quite difficult to make out, and even with a couple of years of understanding of it, it's still quite difficult to make out. Could we just actually know in sort of normal, complete layperson's terms what this actually means?
What the plan change means, or parts of it?
What it actually does.
Okay, what it does.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I think the first thing to understand is that Plan Change 52 and 84, for that matter, have gone through a separate process to the proposed replacement district plan. And both of those plan changes were publicly notified prior to the Order in Council coming into effect. The Order in Council recognised that these plan changes were going through statutory processes and made provision for them by saying that nothing in this Order in Council affects these plan changes. In other words, they were completely ring-fenced in terms of process. Now that we've got to this stage, once the plan changes are made operative, they are deemed to be part of the replacement district plan, and they will be inserted with changes having minor effect. So things like cross-references to the appropriate clauses in the replacement district plan would be an example of a change of minor effect. Or perhaps just some minor clarification around definitions to tidy up some consistent wording, that kind of thing. So what you've been asked to do today is to make a plan, or make both plan changes operative. They will be notified in a public notice in around probably about June, I think, and they will at that stage be deemed to be part of the replacement district plan. Provision has been made in the replacement district plan for these plan changes to slot into. That they're both in Chapter 21. The airport, or the specific airport zone, is Chapter 21.3, and the specific purpose Ruapuna zone is 21.10. The slight differences in terms of process.
But what do they actually do?
What do they do?
Yeah.
Okay, what do they do? Ruapuna is basically manages the noise coming out of the operations at the raceway. So it is that's the scope of it. So it controls the types of events, the numbers of hours, the duration of those hours, the numbers of days. And it's quite a complicated, when you look at Table 1, it is quite complex because you're dealing with 5 different variables. And putting it in that table would be probably the clearest way in which those rules can be expressed. And the table has been a result of quite extensive consultation and mediation among the parties. So what it really means is that the intention is that the Ruapuna motorsport complex can operate at a level which is which the Environment Court has deemed now to be acceptable to the community in terms of the noise. There are one or two. I'm anticipating a question from Councillor. I'm not sure what I forget this question right, but I think that the main changes that have taken place between the Commissioner's decision and now are that the residents, or the Quieter Please residents group, have secured quiet Mondays. So basically Mondays will be quiet days. The number of double event days, that's when Speedway and Ruapuna Kart Club operate, I think have been limited. And there has been a change to what's called weekday noise. And this is quite important because it was a bone of contention. When the plan change was notified, the weekday noise that Ruapuna could operate normally, forgetting their V8 events and special events, was around 65 dBA. They couldn't make any more than that. Now, when we got improved monitoring data and we set up a noise logger, we found that the car club was operating closer to 70. But they told the court, and they told the parties that they could not operate less than that. That was basically their existing level, and so one of the court's decision was to change the weekday noise, or the general run-of-the-mill activities from 65 dBA to 70. It doesn't mean an increase in noise. All it does is reflect what's happening already. Otherwise, they'd be just issued with non-compliance notices every day. So they're the main changes, but it's about managing noise. It's gone through quite an extensive process of notification, submissions, the Commission's decision, mediation, post-mediation work, 3 decisions of the Environment Court.
Yep. Thank you very much indeed for that. Is there any possible process that can yet be gone through that people could possibly take this to for another step? Not Plan Change 52. Okay. There are other standards that the hearings panel will hear next month to do with other activities on the site. And submissions have been made on that, but that goes through the independent hearings panel. So things like other recreation activities, activities that support Ruapuna, like their size of buildings and amount of signage and things like that.
Thanks, Ivan. Jimmy and then Yanni.
Okay, 2 questions. Even you reply, answer the Vicky's questions, but the first question, I still don't know what's the difference between the Commissioner Dunham and also Environment Court decision, especially regarding to the table on page 278. Table 1 to Table 4, those the noise, speed, and also the kind of vehicle track noise, the standards. What's the difference? Because this table I have reviewed is only the Environment Court made decision, but where about the Commissioner Dunham the kind of the decision?
Yeah. Well, I haven't attached the Commissioner's decision. The Council adopted the Commissioner's decision back in, I think it was February last year, July it may have been, when the Commissioner released her decision. So that decision was adopted by the Council, so I haven't included it here. But as I said, that the main difference that came out of the Environment Court proceedings, because there are 2 appeals to the Environment Court. One was by the Car Club.
Yes.
And one was by Quiet of Pleas.
Yeah.
There was quite a lengthy period of mediation, but it didn't resolve everything, so it went off to court. I think the main difference, as I said, is that there were Mondays became quiet days to give a respite to the residents after Saturday, Sunday full of racing, so there were quiet days imposed. As I said before, the decision of the court recognises that the club is actually operating at a higher noise level than was originally thought. But that doesn't mean to say that they're allowed to make extra noise. It just means that it's a more accurate version of what's going on out there. Thirdly, there were changes to the rules in the rural area surrounding Ruapuna. We had insulation requirements for houses in and around Ruapuna. Now we've actually got rid of those and relied on the airport rules. So this area is quite complicated. It's affected by airport noise contours as well. And the airport contours have rules requiring insulation. So we've simplified the plan change so that we get rid of a whole lot of rules relating to people having to insulate extensions to the houses or new houses there. So they can just insulate as long as it meets the airport requirement. So that's a change. And the fourth change the fourth set of changes are really under a section of the Act called Section 293. And these changes were made to enable the plan change to better fit into the replacement district plan, which is very helpful, because when you look at Plan Change 52 and the way that's set out, and it'll fit quite snugly into the replacement district plan, into its current format, with its own objective and its formatting. Plan Change 84, unfortunately, because it didn't go to the Environment Court, we couldn't use Section 293 to streamline or to sort of amend the formatting of Plan Change 84. So it's still got all those explanations and reasons and things that no other chapter in the replacement district plan has. So one of the changes from the Commissioner's report is under Section 293 we're able to make some changes to the plan change so that it fits better into the replacement district plan.
Okay, thank you. Second question is, because based on your information, particularly mentioned this plan change 52 has been completed, all the statutory process needed to make the operative. It looks like, as a councillor, we probably just, to receive this information. But in here, the staff recommendation used approves rather than receive information, because actually, as an elected member council, we didn't get involved all those the process. Only commissioner or maybe the environment code go through those process. Why not use the receive this information rather than be used by the approve?
Yeah, sure. The council has been involved in these stages. Now, of course, this plan change was notified, I think, before this council came on board. It was notified under the previous council. But this council would have received the Commissioner's decision, and the Commissioner's recommendation, because the Commissioner can make a recommendation, and the council would have adopted that did adopt that recommendation. And so it became a council decision at that stage. Now that council decision was appealed, and there was a district plan appeal subcommittee established, which was used by officers to keep the council informed as to what was happening through the process. So one of the first things that the officers did was come to the district plan appeal subcommittee and got approval to partake in mediation. So we had mediation, and then during the mediation process the council changed its position on a couple of matters, and we had to come back to the district plan appeals subcommittee and get approval to change position. From then on we led evidence in the Environment Court, and that Environment Court hearing concluded, I forget when it was now, but it was last year, and the court subsequently received 3 interim decisions, and we had to respond to those, 2 interim decisions, which our legal advisors and us responded to. Now they've released the final decision. Now, unless the council wants to go through that process again, it really has no choice but to make the plan change. Unless someone appeals, and they haven't, to the High Court, then the Environment Court's decision is final. And unless the council wants to go and hear the whole thing again, then it's really got no choice but to make the plan change operative. Under Section 7, under Clause 17 of Schedule 1, I think it is. So, to receive it really doesn't get us anywhere unless you wanted to engage in further discussion with officers or the parties, but really I think the time has come to make the plan change operative to provide deem the process.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Same uninformed reporting. Danny?
Cool. Thank you. Thank you. I know there's a lot of work gone in, and I appreciate getting the simple kind of explanation around what the changes are. Obviously there's 2 other kind of related issues, which is the noise management plan and also the lease. So in terms of this, once we approve this today, the noise management plan work gets underway?
BCHL's.
Yes, there's a noise management plan which has to be, will come into effect.
Right.
There's also, the councillors may recall, I think it was last year, that they approved in principle the setting up of a community liaison group. So, one of the first things we need to do is to get that community liaison group constituted and up and running. And one of the main roles of that group would be to monitor compliance with the noise management plan.
Right.
So, it doesn't quite finish here. Once the plan change operative, you've still got the community liaison group to be set up and to, as I say, keep an eye on things out there. And its main role is to liaise with, to form a good relationship with the management of Ruapuna.
Yeah.
And there is a good relationship at the moment.
Okay, that's good. So, and then the council, I mean, Ruapuna has, the motor club has a lease with council. Is that up for renewal? Or
Yes, it is. There are two leases. There is the Speedway Association as well,
Right.
and the car club. And there are sub-leases actually on both parts. There's a sub-lease to driving testing enterprise as well. But the car club's lease comes up in December for renewal.
Right.
And the Speedway's lease doesn't, it's basically got a lease out there to about 2050.
So I was just wondering if we need a resolution around those reports coming back, or the other question that we also were considering previously was the future of the land property that we acquired. So is there kind of another report process underway around that as well?
Yeah, that's Haskets Road, those 6 properties.
Yeah.
That's a separate issue. They were required because the noise levels were unacceptable, and the council still has to decide what it's going to do with those properties. It's probably got a little more certainty now because of the Plan Change 52 having completed its course. But I think there's a separate report on that, councillor. It's a property management issue rather than a resource management issue.
Yeah, it's just that last time we heard from the residents affected by this, that was, they came to council asking for certain things to be considered.
Yes.
As part of the mitigation around some of the noise effects.
Yes.
So I just want to make sure we've got a process underway for that to...
Well, I'm not aware of any process, but there would need to be some technical assessments on the effectiveness of, I think they're talking about planting on forestry on those sites. I think that's a matter which you need to ask our property consultancy group to come back with on that.
Right, so I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. That's carried. Thank you very much.